Welcome to the live stream. Hi, everybody. Glad you're here. I have two snakes out already, but both of them are, well, the Sundance Kid is fairly accessible. He's up here. I don't think you can see him. Let me make myself bigger. No, you can't really see him, but this is him right here. And as soon as he climbs out of the hide that he's in, he's coming out right now. I'll get him. And then we have Echo right there. Like I could literally touch her. She's been in a hide since, well, she's been out since 9 o'clock this morning. So she's been out for 8 hours. And she probably spent 2 hours cruising around. Didn't ever get herself into trouble. I only had to save her once. But otherwise, she did pretty good. She cruised around and was inspecting all this new stuff that I got. And then she cruised into that hide. And she's been there the whole time. So we'll try to coerce her out maybe with a hook. But let me get the Sundance Kid. If I can just, oh, this might be a problem. Oh no, he's going into another hide. I can't get him. I'll get him in a bit. Okay, let's see who's here. I want to look and see. I'm guessing you guys can see and hear me okay. I'm not seeing any complaints. Wow, we've got a bunch of comments already. Hi, everybody. Okay. So Darth Yoda's in, the autistic cat. Dave's in, Sarah, Jason, Peace Pythons, Fish Sticks. Fish Sticks plans to only ask the most important questions, and that's good because I have some very important questions that have been asked from the Patreon supporters already. Some of them are actually important, but others maybe not so much. Let's see. Jennifer's in. Hi, Taylor. Dave, Dennis, Stevie. Look at all these people in. Everybody's. Amy jumped in to just say hello, but she won't be in the live stream because she's got stuff going on. Paul's in. John, Dave, Erica's in. Wow, got a bunch of people in already. Spencer's here. What's up, Spencer? Glad to see you here. I'm drinking your coffee right now as we speak. Hold on. I'm actually drinking whiskey. We'll talk about that in a second. But I'm drinking Spencer's coffee. This is the Patagonia blend out of my Green Room Pythons. Handsome Dan is not a Python glass. We'll talk about Handsome Dan in this live stream. In fact, I'll even bring him out and show him. That, Spencer, that, wait, is it, maybe it's Guatemala. I think it's the Guatemala blend. I think it's Guatemala, but it's so good. It's my favorite so far. I like it. Here's what I'm drinking Scotch-wise, you guys. I've got the Aaron Sherry Cask. This might have been what I was drinking last time, too. I don't remember. But this is the Aaron Single Malt Scotch Whiskey. It's the sherried cask, and it is cask strength, which means it is strong. 55.8% alcohol. That is for those of us in the U.S., what is that, 111.6%? So when you go out and you buy your Wild Turkey 101 bourbon and you're like, whoa, this is 101 proof. I'm going to drink this and go fishing. And you're all excited about your 101. That's 111.6. Did I do the math right? I think that's right. What you do when you see a percentage, 55.8%, you double that, and that's the proof. I may have said 111%. I didn't mean that. It's proof. 111.6 proof is what I meant to say. Amy has already done a super chat, even though she's not supposed to be here. Thanks for the super chat, Amy. Don't forget to like the live stream, friends. Also, the Belly Dance Troop says, hi, Bob and friends. Hi, everybody. Hi, Belly Dance Troop. I'm excited to see you all in the coming, couple months or something. Excited about that trip to Utah. Oh, and my mom's here too, you guys. Hi, Mom. I'm glad you made it. That Mom, you made it now to 2 live streams in a row, and that's very exciting. I'm glad you're here. You guys, my mom is a big fan of the channel. and that's fun. And a big fan of my snakes too, which, you know, not every mom is a fan of snakes, as many of you know. Many of you struggle with that situation, and I don't struggle with that, which is nice. My mom likes the snakes. Okay, so what we're gonna do, that hot librarian, Tracy, thank you so much for the whiskey fund. That hot librarian always comes in strong with the whiskey fund for me, and I appreciate it. Speaking of which, I talked about this, but then I didn't drink any. So this stuff, the Aaron single malt Scotch, thanks for getting me back on track, Tracy. I appreciate that. Is strong. This is not something that you want to have as like a daily drinker, because, hang on. So it's aged in a sherry cask, an ex-sherry cask. And that means that the wood is soaked with sherry. And sherry is a super fruity type wine, right? Strong wine. Like, what is sherry? Fermented wine? I mean, distilled wine? I don't know. Anyway, the point is, what it gives the Scotch is this really strong flavor of like stone fruit, and it just tastes like a bowl of fruit, and completely the opposite of what I usually go for in Scotch, which is smoky, peaty Scotch. So this, because it's so high proof, tastes like a bowl of fruit and cinnamon and vanilla and fire. I don't recommend it for those who don't have their palate used to drinking liquor already, because it is it's strong. It's very good though. All right, that covers the Scotch portion of Snakes and Scotch. Those of you who have no interest in Scotch at all, don't even worry about it. It's mostly snakes today. So, you know what we're going to do? We are going to get the Sundance Kid, because I brought him out to have him out with me, and he crawled up there. He's easy to get to. Look what I found, you guys. I found this, this is like a cloth basket that I found at Target. I bought 2 of them. And just cut a little hole in. See if a snake wants to use that as a hide. I wouldn't use it in their enclosure, because I don't want it to get peed on or whatever, because it's cloth. I guess you just wash it in a washing machine. But anyway, the point is, it's for a hide when they're out roaming around. Okay, let's get this boy. Hey, buddy. Oh, you're okay. Come here. I know you don't understand what's going on. I get it. Here we go. I get requests for the Sundance Kid occasionally. I feel like I don't show him on the channel enough. But he is a handsome boy who is definitely of size and age to breed, and I'm sure he would love to be doing that. But the one female that I have for him is not ready to breed yet. So we're not doing it this season. Maybe next. Hi, buddy. Yeah, you're just hanging out with me now. Was that confusing a little bit? Everybody's saying hi to my mom. What a nice welcome she's getting. So, as you know, there seems to be a lot of new people each time I do a live stream. So I always feel like I have to say this, that I will skip most of the comments, and please don't be offended if I don't see your comment. It's just they come in fast and furious, and I do have a clipboard full of printed questions from Patreon that I make sure to get to, and then I try to get to everybody else's questions as well. Darth Yoda is asking, any other babies this year? There will be, but none yet. I'm waiting for I'm waiting for eggs to go into the incubator. I have nothing in the incubator right now, but I have 2 snakes that I believe have ovulated. I'm sure that Lydia Dietz has ovulated. That's my clown het pied, who I have bred to a pied het clown. And I believe that Lucille has ovulated. And those of you who have followed my saga of trying to breed Lucille, trying to get her up to weight and such like that, I think she ovulated and I missed it because I was probably out of town or something. But I just put the inspector in with her, and they usually lock up immediately. And they were together for 3 days, and she just sat in her nest. She's nesting right now. And I figured she might have ovulated, but I did that just to check to see if they would lock up. And the fact that they didn't gives me more evidence that she's probably ready to go. So next time she sheds might be her pre-lay shed, but I'm just guessing at this point. Robert, thank you so much for the super chat. Congrats on 1 million channel views. This is the first I've heard of that. So thank you for telling me that I have 1 million channel views. That's very exciting. Obviously, I pay very close attention to all those things. I do actually. Like I'm focused on the channel, and I want to know how well it's doing. But I don't always see that. Like I don't always see those milestones. Thanks, Robert. Robert Belalovsky has been with the channel from the beginning, has been supporting the channel. I appreciate you, Robert. Glad you found it early on. Okay. Also, we don't have Amy in the chat right now. I mean, she might be in right now, but she won't be in during this thing to text me in case I miss a super chat. So the point is that I'm not going to see all of the all of the comments because they just come in too fast. If you really want me to see a comment, super chat it, because I'll see those because they're highlighted, except for the times that I don't see them. And it might happen. It's happened once or twice in the past. And I feel terrible when it happens. I always have Amy as my backup to text me if I miss something, and she's not here to do that. But hey, Mom, feel free to do that too. If you're watching the chat and you see that I've missed a super chat, feel free to shoot me a text. Maybe Mom can be my producer today, my out-of-town producer. Speaking of super chats, Gary's Tina Exotics, thanks for the super chat. I have a rescue ball named Ekans. It's a good name. Oh, you hate that name. Okay. What, you didn't name it? Please give me a better name idea. I was thinking of maybe Kent. Yeah, I mean, that's, I've had other people name snakes Kent before. I think it's a great name for a Kent. I think that any, I mean, aside from the meaning of naming a snake Kent, which is funny, I think that any normal name for that you would name a human is always funny to name a snake. So Jeff, Steve is always great for to name an animal. Any of those, I would just go with just a normal. If it's not Kent, just any normal person name. I kind of like Ekans though. It's kind of a funny name. Okay. Got this snake crawling through my beard. And into my shirt. Hey, pal, can you not unbutton my shirt? Hang on, I got to get this tail out. There we go. Okay. Let's get into these. Let's get into these Patreon questions. I'm gonna go through them, answer them. I'll answer any super chats like Erica's that she just did. And then when I'm done with these, I'll go through and try to answer as many questions that I just see as I can. And we'll just have a chat. It'll be great. Hey, Bob, can I try to help with the super chats since I have your number? Oh, yes, Erica, you totally can. Absolutely. Also, what are the Sundance Kids jeans again? Yes, Erica, if you notice that I've missed a chat, shoot me a text, a super chat. Shoot me a text. I appreciate that. I can always use that extra help. Sundance Kid is cinnamon. That is his phenotype. That's the only gene that's showing, but he's het clown and he is het sunset. So the plan is to put him with Evie, who is a vanilla het sunset. And I'm going to try to make some sunsets, but it's slow going with that project, and that's okay. It's not like I dove in with both feet on that. I got a het girl and a het boy, and we'll see what happens eventually once she gets up to size. She's been eating pretty well though lately, so she's getting there. Hey, I don't want you on my microphone though, young man. You can be on the hat. This hat is this is a great hat for them to climb on because the brim is sturdy, but it's really easy for them to slip off of. So it's kind of dangerous. And I can't tell if they're going to slip off. Like I can't feel it. So I got to sort of spot them. Okay. Paul, this is a great comment that you've made here. Don't forget to hit the like button. So yeah, we've got over 100 people in here, almost 120 people in. If you like the video, don't lie and hit the like button if you don't like the video. But if you do enjoy it, hit the like button. I don't want anyone to perjure themselves, though, by hitting the like button on something that they're not enjoying. So just to be clear on that. Okay. So here we go. Tracy, that hot librarian, says, include an annual reminder to be cautious about taking your snakes outside in the heat, please. Yes, Tracy's always good about reminding me to mention that. The thing about heat is that your snake, everybody thinks that snakes always want the heat. I always hear people talking about, oh, it's really hot outside. The rattlesnakes are going to be out. No, they're not. They're going to be away from the heat. Ball pythons sit in their burrows during the hottest part of the day because they don't want to be in that heat. They need a certain warmth, but not too warm. And too warm definitely is way worse than too cold. So keep that in mind. If you're bringing your snake outside, you don't want them in the direct sun for too long if it's hot out, because they just can't get away from it. You want to give them the option of getting away from it. And also, if you, I often bring my snakes out, right outside my place. I've got this nice little concrete area. I wish it was grass, but it happens to be concrete. So I let them crawl around on that, but I test it with my hand first, or if I have a heat gun, I'll heat gun it to see. And if it's really hot, that concrete could be real hot. And so I don't want them crawling around on that unless it's in a shady part that's less hot. So just keep that in mind when you're out and about with your snakes. Good. Okay, good one, Tracy. Thanks for that reminder. Matthew Tracy asks, just curious on how the inspector's new enclosure is coming. That's this right behind me. And updates on Handsome Dan. Yeah, so we'll get to Handsome Dan in a little bit. He's out of quarantine basically right now. I mean, he's out of quarantine. I shouldn't even say basically. He's out of quarantine. He's doing really well. That bioactive is doing great. I don't have what I'm really excited about here is there's no snake in this yet, but I'm excited to get a tree branch coming off the top of this temple and out the side of the temple going up, kind of almost like tree roots that are going down into this abandoned temple. That's the look that I want. And it's not done yet, but the cool thing is that the plants are already sprouting new leaves. Like this one right here has new growth coming out of it in the last few days, which is really cool. And so that tells me that it's establishing well, and the inspector will be introduced to it probably in a couple weeks. I think it'll be good enough to get him in there in a couple weeks. So I'm excited about it. Handsome Dan is doing great. I'll show him. Don't let me forget. If we've gone a long time in this live stream and I haven't shown Handsome Dan, somebody flag me, because as you know, I get a little scatterbrained in these. Okay. Erica asks, I think you've answered this before, but if you could keep a reptile other than snakes, what would it be? I have a number of dream reptiles, and prior to prior to being like exclusively snakes. And as I was growing up, I was more of a lizard guy. I had kept snakes before, but I had mostly lizards. And so I'm a big fan of certain monitor lizards. I think my dream lizard species, if I had tons of room, would be a Bell's Phase lace monitor. Those are incredible, but they require tons of room and large. I would want mine to have a large water feature. So not a reasonable animal for me at this time. And then another one that I've just recently thought of as a really cool option, but they also need more room than I have right now, is a Mexican beaded lizard. In California, you can't keep a Gila monster, but you can keep a Mexican beaded lizard. That's a cousin to the Gila monster. They look similar, except they're not as colorful. They're more dark colored, and they don't have those bright pink colors that the Gila monster has. But they are venomous and really cool animals. And I don't keep lizards because you have to feed them every day, and I am out of town a lot, so it works for me to keep snakes. It does not work for me to keep lizards. However, Mexican beaded lizards only eat a handful of times a year. Like, you can feed them, every 2 weeks or whatever, but you could also feed them once a month or whatever. They basically eat like snakes. So that's something that I recently learned. So I think those are cool. I'd have one of those. And yeah, I mean, I just love, I'm a fan of all animals. Like, if I could just have my own zoo, I'd have a ton of just animals. But reptiles have been a passion since I was a kid. They just fascinate me, and I love them all. They're all just incredible. So, hold on, I've missed at least one super chat. Let me see if I've missed more than one. Yep, I have missed more than one. Hang on. I'm going to get to them all right now. Okay, the last one I saw was Erica saying that she'll help me with the super chats, which I appreciate. Joshua, thanks for the super chat. Joshua says, hi to Kent. Love the stream. I will let Kent know that you said hello. Kent will not be here today. Sorry if that's disappointing to some of you. He was here last time, though. He made a rare appearance in the last live stream. You know what? The Sundance Kid is doing great on my hat right now. Matthew, thanks for the super chat. I just bought a baby hognose. Those are so cool. I love the snakes. Literally picked her up 5 minutes ago. Congrats. That's great. Pretty red conda phase. Just wanted to share. That's awesome, man. Congrats. That's really cool. Those conda phase hognoses are cool. I don't know if I know specifically the red conda phase, but I know what the color red means, so I can guess what that is. But hognoses are great, and conda phase is cool. Congrats on that. That's exciting. Okay, there was another one, I think, at least one more. Callie Simpson. Callie or Kaylee? I'm gonna guess Callie, but I totally could be wrong, because sometimes I say things wrong. Sorry if I mispronounce. Hey Bob, my boyfriend and I have 2 ball pythons. Cool. I keep one at my place and one at his. He has been really anxious to handle her. She is defensive. Tips. Yeah, so I have some videos on dealing with, first of all, I have one specifically on taming a ball python, and also like what to do when you first get a ball python. You may have had this one for a while, but you can still do the tips on that. A ball python that's defensive is just not used to having humans around. And hey, dude, can you not mess with my mic? Thanks. And so just doing some sessions with that snake where you are sitting near her, where she can see you sitting there, but you're not messing with her necessarily. You just do that a number of times. And so, for instance, if I had a snake like that in this enclosure, just sitting here with that snake out, them seeing me, but then realizing that I'm not hurting them, I'm not doing anything that's scary, is helpful to get them socialized a little bit. And then just doing a little bit of handling here and there, picking them up from the back rather than reaching over their head or coming in from in front of them is helpful. And eventually they'll calm down once they realize that you are not a threat. And it doesn't take a snake very long to realize that. But it does for them to be defensive and always like striking and stuff, that takes a lot of energy. And so once they realize that they don't have to do that, they'll stop doing that generally speaking, but snakes are all individuals. So, wow, lots of super chats. Thanks for these super chats, you guys. That's really nice. Hey, Bob, love the content. First live stream I've been able to make. Keep it up. Ah, Clayton, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Glad you caught the first one. I appreciate the super chat. LaShonda Lane, thanks for the super chat. Your videos have given me the ability to hold my first ball python. Oh, cool. He was very defensive when I got him. Had experience with my sons before he moved to Michigan. Oh, that's cool. So, LaShonda, did you do some of those techniques in getting that snake to be less defensive? I'm curious. That's really nice. I'm glad that the videos helped. Thanks for that super chat. Okay, so let me get back to, so if I get super chats like that, then I can't get to my Patreon things, which means that it's just going to be a longer live stream, maybe we'll end up going 3 or 4 hours because I can't get through my Patreon questions. Although the live stream doesn't end when I get through the Patreon questions. Okay. Roger at Great Family Snakes says, would love your perspective on Florida's recent events. Hard not to think about that one. Yeah, it is hard not to think about that one. And I will say that I put a video out the other day, just a short, basically saying that I'm not going to do a full video on this because other people have done it and I don't want it to become white noise. And I said that I had just become a gold member of USARK Florida, and I recommend that you do that. But then in thinking about it more over the last couple of days, I am going to do a full video on it, and it's going to come out next week. I think that I do think that there's a risk of it becoming white noise. And by white noise, what I mean is that some people, see that all these creators are doing videos. They watch 1 or 2 and then they just stop watching those videos because it's like, it's such a bummer what happened. And for those of you that don't know what happened, FWC, Florida Wildlife Commission, did a terrible thing I'm not going to describe the whole thing, but they basically went and killed a whole bunch of pythons, mostly reticulated pythons, and 5 Burmese pythons that were microchipped and kept in locked cages, and everything was done properly based on the old rules. Those rules changed. They gave the guy 90 days to get rid of his animals. He rehomed most of them and was trying to work with them and asking them, what can I do here? Can you give me more time? And they basically used that to go, well, we're going to come in and kill these snakes. And not only did they kill those snakes, they killed a perfectly legal boa that was a pet animal that Chris Coffey had owned for, Bill McAdam, I think. The other snakes were Chris Coffey's. Bill McAdam owned the boa, and it was his pet snake for the last 10 years. And that was a gravid boa with, I think, 32 almost full-term babies. And they killed that snake because they don't know the difference between a boa and a python. And so I think it's really important that people right now support USARK Florida. Florida is where other states are going to take their cues from Florida, because Florida admittedly has the biggest problems with invasive species and stuff like that. And so it's important to support. You don't have to live in Florida to support USARK Florida. You can also become a free member. It helps to have the membership numbers up, and they have the option of being a free member, but they also need money. And a gold membership, which I think is their highest membership, is $75. So you can spend $75, become a gold member of USARK Florida. no matter where you're at. You can do it from anywhere in the world. But especially in the United States, anywhere in the United States, it's important to support them. And then it's also important to support just USARK in general, because they're fighting for everybody in all the states. I know Phil Goss is spending a lot of time in Florida, though, working with USARK Florida. Those are two separate entities, by the way. You've got USARK and USARK Florida, two separate situations. So I think it's really important to support them both. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that right now, because next week's video is going to be all about that. So that's the heavy stuff for this live stream. Now back to lighter topics. All right. Let me scroll up really quick. Give me just a moment. Birdie284 says, hey, Bob. Thanks for the super chat, Birdie. Says, hey, Bob. Love the channel. So glad I made the live chat finally. I'm glad you did too. You were never into boas, ? And how do you limit yourself? I want every snake I see. Yeah, no, I love boas. I've always loved boas, but I limit myself just because my space is limited. And my also the time that I have is limited. I think that I have more time than most people. You know, I'm able to spend more time with my snakes than most people, because when I'm in town, I work from home. So I can have a lot of my snakes out for large portions of the day. Like I said, Echo's been out for over 8 hours now. But I don't want to spend, 4 hours a day cleaning enclosures. So there are tons of snakes that I would love to have, though. I mean, there's a lot of coolibrids that I'd like to have. I'd love to have a indigo snake. It's, tons of different ones, but it's all about space. But I love Handsome Dan. I love the one boa that I do have. I'm keeping him. Okay. So here we go. Back to this clipboard. Where are we at? Paul Seibel asks, if you could ask your snakes 3 questions and get responses, what would they be? That's a great question. I think that I would ask them, first of all, do you like me? What do you think of me? I don't think I would ever ask a human that, but I definitely would ask a snake that. And I would ask them, do you feel like you could use UVB? Like, do you feel like you need that in your cage? Because we still kind of don't know. I think the jury's still out on that. I think that there is some benefit to UVB. I don't know what it is specifically. And I don't know that there's much evidence of it. I know that some people claim there is, but I don't know. I've got UVB in with Stella, my super dwarf. I don't know that I notice a difference yet at this point with it, but okay. So there's that. We're just doing questions, and then I think I would ask, are you jealous of my arms and legs? That would be the other question. The third question that I would ask my snakes: are you jealous that I have arms and legs, Mr. Sundance Kid? In fact, I'm going to put him back. I think he seems to be a little bit squirrely. So let me put him back. Talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes. Not even 2 minutes. This will take me 30 seconds, I bet. I pulled him out because I wanted his cage open for a couple hours, because I did a full enclosure clean and change of substrate and everything yesterday, and just noticed that his cage was at 95% humidity, which is a little high. So I wanted to keep that open and just dry it out a little bit. All right, hang on. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything else, except here's one super chat right here. A guy in a hoodie. Thanks for the super chat, a guy in a hoodie. When I got into snakes, you were the first channel I loved. Oh, thanks. It's really nice. Your advocacy for these animals and content means so much to the community. Thank you. Oh, that's so nice. I really appreciate the kind words and the super chat. Not even a question attached to that one. That's really nice. I appreciate that. I am a fan of snakes, and I like to share that. Okay. Taylor Rouse is asking, what is your favorite species of venomous snake? You know, I always say gaboon viper / rhino viper, two very similar ones, but also a king cobra. Like, how could you not love a king cobra? They're super intelligent, incredible animals. So I would say those three. And then which venomous snake species would you keep if you ever decided to keep a venomous snake? I don't think that I would ever keep a venomous snake. However, if I did decide, you can keep a rattlesnake in California, so it probably realistically would be a rattlesnake. However, if we're not talking realistic, and I was somewhere else or I got some permit or something, I think it would be a blue Insularis, because those are absolutely beautiful display snakes. They are bright blue. Green Insularis is beautiful too, but I would want the blue. They're small vipers, and you know, if you have a venomous snake, it's going to be a display animal anyway. It's not like you're going to bring it out and handle it all the time. So I would have a really cool cage with a blue Insularis, and it would be amazing. I'd have my little blue snake. Look them up if you don't know blue Insularis, and tell me what you think of them. They're great. They're from an island in the Philippines. Am I right about that? I might be wrong, but they're from a little island, and they're absolutely beautiful. Gary, thanks for the super chat again. Name decided. Kent Bob Ekins Bailey III. That's great. The kids named him. It was a compromise. Great job, kids. Kids are great at naming animals. Proven right there with a super epic name. Really good. And I hope you never shorten the name when you refer to the snake. I hope you always refer to the snake as Kent Bob Ekins Bailey III. So good. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss any. I don't think I have. No, I haven't. Let me also make sure that sometimes my ringer is off on my phone. And so even if somebody texts me to tell me that I've missed a super chat, I won't hear it. Okay, it's on. So we're good. All right. That was a fun one. I like thinking about what I would keep if I were to keep venomous, but I just don't think that, I don't have I guess I have a YouTube channel that's educational, but I don't have a facility that people would come and learn about snakes. If I had a snake discovery situation, it would make sense to keep venomous because I'd be teaching about the snake, whatever. But just as a pet, I don't think that's a thing that almost anyone should do. Keep venomous as a pet, in my opinion. Joshua, thanks for the super chat. Hi, my 5-year-old ball python has fasted since December. Should I worry? Yeah. I mean, they can go a long time without eating, but a snake that has fasted for between 4 and 5 months, that's a long time. It's a long time to go. So you definitely should be doing everything you can to figure out what it is that's making that snake not want to eat. So I don't know what that snake eats, but if you're feeding frozen thawed, you might want to try live at this point. If you're feeding rats, you might want to try mice. You might want to try a smaller size, and then change their substrate to something else. First of all, make sure that all your temps and humidity and husbandry is right. Make sure that they have plenty of hides and clutter in their enclosure. A lot of times just a complete enclosure turnaround is a good thing to do. Pull everything out, give them all new stuff, just different things, so they have a completely new environment. That sometimes kicks it off. And then just watch any of my videos on feeding, because a lot of those, I think I have a video that's specifically on how to get a snake back on food, and I just give a bunch of tips in those videos. But it's not a uncommon thing. I mean, when I first got Lucille, she was off food for 6 months before I got her to eat for the first time. So it does happen. She lost hardly any weight. The inspector, I think last year, he was off for 4 months before he went back on. All right. Back to this. All right. So now that was Taylor Rouse, that last question. Now we're on to Taylor Alexis, who I think is here with us right now. For once, I just have Bob questions, she says. She usually mixes it up. If you could have a superpower, what would it be? Flight. I want to fly. Like, why would you not choose flight? I think because if you choose invisibility, that's kind of sketchy, right? I think that's a sketchy thing to want to have because what are you going to do with that invisibility? Sketchy things, right? It's not like, oh, I want to be invisible to criminals so I can fight crime. No, you're going to go and steal stuff and like do sketchy things. I want to fly. What's your favorite book or book series at the moment? I need something new to read after finishing my last series. You know, I mentioned this series, I think in the last live stream. I'm not reading anything right now. So I'm not even into a series right now. But the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett is what I recommend to anybody looking to get into a series, because you could be into that series for years. He wrote so many books from like 1983 when he wrote the first one all the way until he died a few years ago. He wrote a bajillion books, and they're fantastic and weird and funny and amazing. So Discworld series by Terry Pratchett. Okay. Darth Yoda asks, Darth Yoda's in right now also, I believe. Any special care for albino morphs? No, just accept that, keep in mind that albino animals, humans, anything, are light sensitive. Their eyes are pretty light sensitive. So you wouldn't want like if I had an albino animal in this enclosure, I wouldn't have a plant grow light. That's a pretty bright light. And I probably wouldn't do that for an albino. But really, that's the only thing that I can think of off the top of my head that you need to worry about for albinos. And then Darth Yoda is also saying, would love to know how breeding is coming along and would love to see Bear. Breeding is coming along great. And actually, so I mentioned that Lydia Dietz is about to drop eggs probably in less than 30 days, I would think. And Bear is the father. I'll grab Bear out, and then we have a couple super chats. I'll look at those in a minute. Let me grab Bear. Hey, buddy. What are you doing? Hey, pal. You were just right there, huh? You being sleepy? Here's Bear. He's my pied het clown. We're looking for some clown pieds from Lydia Dietz. He's just waking up. We'll see if he wakes up. You guys, Clint is in from Black Box. If anybody has cage questions, Clint is the guy to ask. Hi, Clint. Glad you made it. Okay, let's look at these super chats real quick. Let's see if there's anybody that I missed before. No. Okay, so let me get back down here. Trey, thanks for the super chat. My 2-year-old ball python is starting to get fat rolls, so I switched him to every 2 weeks. Got any other advice? Yeah, I mean, it's a 2-year-old ball python. I usually switch male ball pythons to every 2 weeks, like at a year. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even go by time. So when I say that, it might be before a year or after a year, but I bet it's right around. Obviously, I don't have a rule, so I don't think about this, but I bet when they're somewhere between 750 to 1,000 grams, they're going to every 2 weeks. And I don't give them anything. Like Bear here gets, he doesn't get anything bigger than a small rat. And sometimes he'll get like a jumbo mouse, and a jumbo mouse is the size of a weaned rat. So sometimes he'll get a small meal. Sometimes he'll get a larger meal. You know, occasionally there will be like a small medium. In other words, like a medium rat that's a little bit smaller that one of the girls that I was trying to feed didn't eat. And so one of my boys will get that. So they'll sometimes get a little bigger, sometimes a little bit smaller, but it all evens out to about a small rat every 2 weeks. Wait a second, Taylor. You forgot to, thanks for the super chat, Taylor. You forgot to wink in that question. I specifically put that in there. So now you have to do it. Wait, did you put a wink in this? Oh yeah. She said, for once, I just have Bob questions. Shocking, I know. Wink. So is that what you were looking for? The wink? Or I wink and say wink? I'm guessing that's what you were looking for, Taylor. Sorry, I didn't pick up on that. Cody, thanks for that $20 super chat. That's really nice. Thanks for all the great content. I've learned a lot from your videos. Oh, that's great. Keep on rocking that glorious beard, sir. I have 3 ball python: pied, leopard, het clown, and a bamboo. Oh, those are great. Those are actually all favorites of mine. You know, clown is a favorite. Pied is a favorite. Bamboo, I love bamboo. I don't have any bamboo. And leopard, I really love. I only have one snake that has leopard in him. But that's great. Thanks for that super chat, Cody. It's really nice. And then Danielle, thanks for your super chat. Hi, Bob. I went to the Sherwood Forest Fair in Texas. Oh, I'd love to go to Sherwood one of these days. I hear that's a really nice fair. I'm pleased to report that nobody had their scaly friends on their shoulders getting too much sun. Oh, that's great, because it is very common that people bring snakes to Renaissance fairs, and I don't like it. Sherwood, I hear, is a fantastic fair, though. I have, in fact, I was talking to somebody who's close to the entertainment director there last year about getting me in at that fair. I don't know that I want to travel to Texas anymore for festivals, though. So, but it would be fun maybe one time to do it. It'd be cool. All right. We're back to, let me double check this. Thanks, Erica. Erica's texting me saying so far so good. Appreciate that vote of confidence. All right, back to the clipboard. What are we on here? Sam Williams says, I have always been curious if you have a plan for your reptile in case your house loses power. It happened in my apartment a while back, and thankfully it came back on within a few hours. But man, that was a scary few hours. Yeah. So the plan, if you live in an area that is likely to have a power outage in the winter, your plan should be that you just invest in a generator. Generators are expensive, but it's worth it to invest in if it's likely that you're going to lose power in the wintertime and your sinks will be too cold. The other thing that you can just do if you lose power in the wintertime and your power's out for a while, you can have warm water in water bottles and just put those in with your snakes. That is a tip that I think I got from Amy Bentley. It's a great tip, and I think she's the one who suggested it to me, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's brilliant. So that's what I'm guessing you're thinking about. My biggest issue is if my AC has a problem in the summertime, because too much heat is a bigger problem for snakes than coldness. And so I worry about that, especially if I'm gone when it happens. So I can track the temperatures and everything that's going on in my snake room from anywhere in the world, which is great. But if my AC goes out, it's a problem. So I'm getting a brand new AC put in. Mine's running right now and it runs fine, but there were a couple little problems. So I'm getting, hey buddy, you coming around the beard? So I'm getting a new, it's called a mini split. It's like an AC and a heater unit that's going to be brand new and slick. And that's going to be put in, I think, next week. So I'm excited about that. Have a plan, though. for your snakes if you have some sort of power outage. The other thing to remember, though, is that if your snakes don't have heat for a little bit of time, it's not that big of a deal. They don't need 90-degree heat at all times during the day. For instance, it's about 70. Today it's been between 76 and 78 degrees in here. Echo's been out for 8 hours. She's not digesting food right now. She just shed. She's totally happy in high 70s. She doesn't need any heat at all right now. So I'm not worried about her. I wouldn't be worried about Bear being out all day in mid 70s temperatures. And so I realize in the middle of winter, it can get pretty cold in your house pretty fast, but they, you know, a lot of times new keepers think that if they don't have 90-degree heat in their enclosure for an hour, it's a problem. And it's really not. You just don't want them to get down into the 50s, 40s, 30s. Like that's more problematic. Okay. There is, let's see, I'm missing. Well, I'm not missing. I'm seeing super chats. Danielle, did you do a second super chat? It was my first time and it was fantastic. If you go, you'll be pleased. That's what I've heard. I've heard that Sherwood Fair is amazing. I've done Texas Ren Fair a number of times, which is the biggest one in the world. And I think Sherwood is probably not too much smaller. It's a pretty big one. And I hear lots of good things because everybody that goes to Texas Ren Fair also goes to Sherwood. And I think I'm the only one who hasn't been to Sherwood, but it looks fantastic. Thanks for your super chat, Danielle. That's really nice. There's another one here from Elizabeth. Hi, Bob. I was wondering if you were going to Retic Fest this July. Thank you for that super chat, Elizabeth. I'm not going to Retic Fest. I had it on the calendar, but I have some other travel plans this year. I would love to go to Retic Fest because I'd love to see those guys. And Garrett's a friend of mine. I might end up going next year, but my travel slate is booked. So I can't do Retic Fest. It's a bummer. One of these years I'll do it. Okay. Look at Bear. He's found his happy spot on my hat. He's a good hat band, you know. I love live hat bands. I'm not as much of a fan of dead snake hat bands. Where am I at on this? Here we go. My wife and I have a Burmese. Okay, so this is from Dennis Colburn. My wife and I have a Burmese python named Zeus. He's a bit over 2 years old and about 18 pounds. He's very vocal with his hissing, and we find it to be quite comical when he does it and how he does it. Our vet thinks that he's one of the calmest snakes he's ever seen. Question is, when he hisses, which way do you think the air goes? It is definitely an exhale, but which direction does the air go? So when Dennis wrote this on the Patreon page, I said, I have no idea. I've never thought about that. I'm going to just ask everybody. And then I looked it up. So put it in the comments if you think you know which way the air goes. Does it go out the sides? Does it go out the front? Does it go out the nose? Does it go out the mouth? Anyway, I just looked it up right before the live stream. I'm going to tell you in a second. I'm going to give the answer in a moment, just in case anybody wants to throw their guess in, or if anybody knows, because I bet people know this. It's just something I didn't know. Let me handle these two super chats from Gary. Thanks, Gary. You and Dave Kaufman video. Let's make it happen. Oh yeah, I'd love to do a video with Dave. Dave and I have chatted a couple times at shows. It would be really fun to do a video with him. Teresa, thanks for the super chat. Ask a question though, if you have a question or something. But that's really nice to just throw in a contribution to the channel. I appreciate that. Oh, I see. You did just ask a question. Hang on. I see it now. There we go. What temp do your snakes seem to prefer? Is it what they recommend in the guides? You know, recommended is usually 80 and 90, right? My snakes are at about 77 to 80, and they're under 90 usually. If if I temp gun their hot side and it's at 90, I'm going to turn it down a notch or two. And because they digest just fine at 87, 88 degrees. I think that in general, for most species, we keep them too hot. So I think that I was talking to Eric Lee the other day. We went herping, and Eric Lee is a really experienced breeder of super dwarf retics. He's got an amazing group of retics, and he mentioned something that was really interesting that I don't think about a lot, which was that he keeps his snakes at a lower temp because it takes them longer to digest that food, and so he feels like they're gaining more nutrients into their body during that time versus just being under super hot heat and taking in a meal and just turning it into poop immediately and getting rid of it. So that's an interesting theory. And I keep my ball pythons at a lower temp than, I keep them around 88. And based on what he said, I turned down my retics also the other day. So the answer to, what was the question that we were trying to answer? The hiss. So when a snake hisses, it comes from their glottis, which totally makes sense. The glottis for a snake would be under their tongue. I mean, their tongue is tiny, but it's basically if you had a little hole under your tongue, they can, when they're eating food, if you watch your snake eat a meal, you can sometimes see them stick their glottis out, and that's what they're breathing from. That's how they're able to breathe while they're consuming a big meal. Snakes don't have to breathe as much as we do, but during the time that they are consuming a meal, they've got to take a few breaths anyway, and they do that from their glottis. The hiss also comes from their glottis, so they're pushing air out and making that sound from their glottis. I just learned that minutes before hitting go live on this particular broadcast. And I didn't confirm it. I looked at it, I Googled it, and I saw a website that said that, and I believe that website. I don't even know what the website is. So I'm guessing that's true, but I didn't do a ton of research on it. So it makes sense, though, that would come from their glottis. Okay, Peace Pythons is asking, what was your first reptile ever kept, and what made you get into the hobby, and what inspired you to create a YouTube channel? So these are questions that have been asked before, and I'll try to make a more complete answer to the first reptile ever kept, because really my first reptile ever kept would have been an amphibian that I caught in the window well of my house. It would have been a little salamander in Spokane, Washington, that I would have caught. Also frogs, caught all kinds of frogs and tadpoles. Those would have been the first of that type of animal. But as far as reptile, it would be a garter snake that I caught in the field across the street from my house in Spokane, Washington. Probably kept that for a day or two before letting it go. I don't think that I ever kept a snake or lizard that died in my care. I'm guessing some amphibians may have died in my care. And when I say care, I really say that in quotes, because I was a little kid and I was just catching animals and putting them in a jar. So that would have been that. And then I believe, I was trying to think as far as like a reptile that I actually bought at a pet store. It was probably like an anole lizard or maybe a green snake, but I bet it was an anole lizard. I also had iguanas pretty early on. I had 2 baby iguanas. But before that, I think I had like an anole lizard. I had a green snake at one point. Everything is jumbled in my brain, so I don't know which came first. But I know those ones that I caught in the wild were the first ones. And then the other question was, what inspired me to create a YouTube channel? I just had been wanting to do a YouTube channel for a number of years, and just didn't know what subject to do. And at one point, as kind of a COVID project, I thought, I kind of know a lot about reptiles, and I think I could do a snake channel. So here we are with the snake channel. Could have done a beard channel. Could have done a whiskey channel. Thought about those also, but I'm happy with this choice. This is a much better choice, I think, than a beard or whiskey channel, or a hat channel, a men's hats channel. How about that? That wouldn't do well, I don't think. I don't know. You never know. Maybe it would. Okay. We are getting through these Patreon questions. I really only have a small handful more, and then I'll just go off of your questions. So Maka Maka, the naughty Irishman, who's a new Patreon supporter, says perhaps a poll or something regarding live plants that people have had success with. I know you've done a couple videos about the inspector's groovy digs, but you also claim to not be a plant guy. I'm not a plant guy. Just thought an interactive piece might be cool. So yeah, that's something that I might do on Patreon, but we'll also ask people here, if you have plants in a bioactive or plants in a non-bioactive enclosure, what kind are they? I can tell you that the plant that you're looking at right next to the temple there, if Bear gives me a hand, I'll point to it. This one is a Swiss cheese vine, and they do really well. They're super hardy. I also have a type of pothos in there. Any pothos is going to do really well. I have a plant that I don't remember the name of, so I can't tell you what it is. And I have another vine. Mom, what's the vine that you sent me? Hold on. My mom will answer this question, because Mom sent me a whole bunch. She mailed me in the mail clippings from a vine that she has, and it was perfect. Like, she did these clippings. They were rooted. So she'd already rooted them in water, and then she put them in wet paper towels, put that in plastic, put them in an envelope, and shipped them to me in a manila envelope. And they showed up, and they did really well. So I've got some of them potted and just growing in a pot, and I have a couple that are in the bioactive. I didn't put them all in the bioactive though, because they're a little bit more fragile than the Swiss cheese vine, and I don't know how they're going to do, so I didn't want to put them all in there. Mom, if you are still in the chat, put in there what kind of plant that is, because I don't remember. She may not still be in the chat though. She might be in and out of this one. She might miss it. Okay. So let's see. Did I answer that? Yeah. Okay. Oh, good. There's some plant stuff happening here. Good. People are talking about plants. Mother-in-law's tongue is great for snakes. I just saw an article on plants that will deter rattlesnakes. There aren't any. Spoiler alert. That's not a thing. But there's a whole article written about, because this is starting to be rattlesnake season. There's a whole article about plant these in your yard and you won't have rattlesnakes. Totally not true. But one of the plants was a mother-in-law's tongue, also known as a snake plant. They do really well in terrariums with snakes. They definitely don't deter snakes. So, anyway, all right, here we go. Let's see. Wendy Williams is asking, I would like to know exactly how a live feeding goes, just in case I ever have to do it. I know you supervise, but do you hold the prey in place with tongs, drop it right in front of your snake, wait until they're out and ready, or try to get their attention? When and how would you intervene? I've heard that sometimes you have to knock the prey on the head ahead of time. Yeah, don't do that. Any tips or tricks? Yeah, it's much easier than all these things that you're saying. You literally just put the rodent in with the snake. That's all you do. And you do want to keep an eye on them, but it's not like, I mean, it's very rare that I've never had, I don't think I've ever had to intervene. And I rarely feed live, but I do have to a few times a year, to get a snake eating again. Sometimes I have to do it with the inspector. If he's gone off food during breeding season, to get him eating again, I'll give him live. So I do have to do it occasionally. You literally just put the rodent in with the snake, and they will be able to tell immediately that a rodent is in there with them. And hang on, I got Bear going the floor. And they will hopefully eat that rodent. I do keep an eye on them in that, if it's a baby, this is much more common that I feed live to a baby. So let's say this is a baby that just hatched and it hasn't taken the first, let's say, 3 offerings of a frozen thawed meal. So I'm going to go and get a live hopper mouse. Let's say a hopper mouse has teeth already, so it could potentially bite the animal. So I'm going to put the hopper mouse in the cage in the tub with the snake, and I'm going to close the tub. I can see my tubs are clear, so I can see through them. I don't have any hatchlings in my hatchling rack right now, but I can obviously see what's going on in here. But I want to close this because a hopper mouse can hop out of the tub. So I got it closed, and I'm just going to watch. Once the snake strikes, I'm gonna look and make sure that they struck and wrapped well. If they accidentally strike and get the rat's butt, the rat could then bite the snake. And you got to use tongs to intervene. But again, I've never had to intervene, so it's pretty rare that happens. Usually, when you see the big problems where a rodent has chewed down the spine of a snake, it's because somebody, and you hear this story a lot, I put a rodent in with my snake and then I forgot about it and I went to work and then I checked on the snake the next morning and now he's half dead. So that's the biggest problem, is you just you're gone and your snake is in there with a live rodent for hours. That's the biggest problem. I got some super chats that I have to address here. Let me go up and make sure that I've caught up on the last ones first, and then okay, so there we are. Okay, Matthew, I'm going to get to yours in just a second. Let me finish. So Wendy, with regard to you don't have to dangle it, because in the wild you'll see people in videos dangling rodents. In the wild, a rodent is never dangling above a snake's head, so you just put it in and let them do the thing. In my opinion, it's the best way to do it. And don't whack it on the head ahead of time. That's not a nice thing to do to a poor rodent. They're going to be attacked by a snake already. We don't need to do more traumatic things to them. This is why I like to feed frozen thawed. Also, whatever happened to playing the theme song for us at the beginning? Have you ever thought about writing lyrics for it? Okay, I'm going to address that in just a second. Let me get to these super chats, then we'll go back to that theme song question. It's a good question. Matthew Tracy, thank you for the super chat. My male ball python has been refusing food. He checks it out, but then he just ignores it and does his nightly thing as usual. He's only 525 grams. Thoughts? I would just try a different. I don't know what you're feeding him, but if it's rats, I would try a mouse. Just go through the normal things. Check your husbandry. Watch my video on getting a snake back on food, and make sure you do those little tricks. But the first thing that you want to do is check your husbandry. Give them some extra hiding, extra security, and make sure the heat and humidity are good. And then you might just try a different prey item. Another trick that works, if you're offering them every week, skip a week or skip 2 weeks so it's 3 weeks between the last time they saw a rodent and this time, because sometimes that will get them to eat if they haven't seen a meal in a while. That happens sometimes. Elizabeth, thanks for the super chat, Elizabeth. I'm target training my boa. Cool, Mr. Ripley. I'm target training my boa too. His last feeding, he struck at his target. What should I do about this? Yeah, I mean, that's a thing that's pretty common with snakes, is they will, even my super dwarves, which are very well target trained, will often strike at the target. And the problem is that it actually, what that tells you is that your boa recognizes that as something that has to do with food. And, when snakes are in food mode, their brain shuts off. So what happens is they see the target and they go, oh, that means food. Their brain shuts off and they just strike. So what we're asking them to do when they're target training is pretty tricky for them. This means food. You're going to be in food mode, but in order to get the food, you've got to turn your brain back on and interact with this target in a manner that's where you're not trying to eat the target, and then you get your food. That's a pretty tricky thing for them to do. So what I do when my super dwarves strike at the target is I wait for them to let go and sometimes unwrap, because sometimes it's a full strike and wrap, and that takes a while. Sometimes I just have to drop the target, leave it in there with them, and come back 20 minutes later once they've left it alone. And then we just let them reset and try again. And as soon as they can do it, basically, sometimes I get to the point where it's like, all I want you to do is gesture towards the target without striking at it, and you get your meal, So it just takes patience. Let me see what this text is that I just got. Oh, Mom's texting me. What that? Thanks, Mom. Because I would have not seen if you put it in the chat. Heartleaf philodendron, and maybe another philodendron that's more upright. Yeah, so philodendron is what that vine is that my mom sent me. Thanks for that, Mom. And thanks for the plant for one thing, but also thanks for texting me the information. Philodendron. Oh, she did say it in the chat. Look at this. She's covering all the bases. Thanks, Mom. Okay. Was there something else? Oh, we were going to talk about the, I answered that thing, and then let me put Bear back. Then we're going to talk about what happened to the theme song at the beginning of my videos. Buddy, pop your head back in, please. Dude. Okay. All right. So here's what happened as I'm going to scroll the Horde of Keepers at this time also. Wait, how do I do this? There we go. Here's my Patreon supporters, who are the reason that this channel is even a thing still. But while I scroll these, I'll tell you about my theme song. So here's the thing with theme songs in YouTube. You've got to be a little bit strategic when you do a YouTube thing. And I know this was a tough decision for me, because I know that I have fans of the channel who like that theme song, and I'm really proud of it. It's one that I composed myself and played on a banjo, and I thought it was really cool. And then, I had a whole, what do you call it? Compilation of snake shots that I put in my little intro. The problem is that a YouTube channel is not a TV show, and it took me a long time to learn this, that people, a lot of times when they see a intro theme song, they just click off. If they don't know the channel, they're not already fans of the channel, they're like, oh, let me check this out. They see an intro that takes 30 seconds. That is too long for their attention span, and they click off. And I could see that. When you have a YouTube channel, you can look at the analytics of it, and you can see when people drop off. And I noticed that people were dropping off at that theme song. So the unfortunate thing is, I got to do this in front of the mic. The unfortunate thing is that if I want to have a successful YouTube channel, sometimes you got to make those cuts. There we go. And I had to cut out the theme song. But I tell you what, as soon as I'm done with these boards, I'll play it for you. We'll do the theme song right now. How about that? Here's the channel sponsors. I'm glad that people are using these discount codes. I just heard from Lane Labs that a lot of people have been using the discount code. In the first couple months, there were a ton of people using it. So that's cool. I know a lot of people use Black Box Cage's discount code. I don't know if Roger Gray's in yet, or if Roger Gray's in right now. I think we just started using a discount code for Gray Family Snakes. but I know that there have been some purchases of snakes from fans of this channel. So that's cool. I'm glad that the companies that are supporting Green Room Pythons are getting support from the viewers of Green Room Pythons. That's a good thing. All right. The only time this theme song gets played anymore is during live streams now. And I don't ever know if I'm going to remember it. And maybe I won't. We'll see. It might be the theme song, and it might be a weird version of the theme song because I may not remember how to play it. All right, let's try this. I get a few attempts. You guys, I'm shocked. That was actually pretty good as far as accuracy of how that song goes, I think. I'm gonna do it one more time. Okay, the first one was better, but there you go. I remembered it. And then let's talk about the lyrics to that song. That doesn't have any lyrics, and it's because I wrote that as a lot of times when you hear old-time banjo like that, those are fiddle tunes. And a fiddle tune, by definition, doesn't have lyrics, or a tune. It's just, it's just a tune. And they don't have lyrics. But that tune is called The Snake Herder's Lament. And if I were to write lyrics to a song, maybe we start out with playing the tune, and then we go into a song, and then it does have lyrics, and it would be all about, like, I don't know how to play chords in this particular tuning that we're in, but it'd be like, my snake hasn't eaten in 3 months. What do I do? How do I know if a snake's gonna bite me? Stuff like that. But I would change chords, and I would have somebody else sing it, but in a very thick Southern accent, very thick sort of. Can I say hillbilly accent? Does that offend anyone? Because I am not a singer. I'm not someone who naturally would think to write lyrics because I wouldn't want to be singing them. But the lyrics would be all about questions that snake people have about snakes. That's my whole point. Okay, hang on. Let me see what super chats I missed during those silly shenanigans. Okay. DeMartyr, thanks for the super chat. The surviving mice of feedings get names and put in another tank. Now they have made 5 others. Can I feed multiple smalls so this doesn't get out of hand? That's hilarious. You have an official rodent breeding operation there. Yes, you can. That is something that, that can be controversial because everybody says feed one appropriately sized prey item. That is the best thing to do. However, in the wild, snakes are often eating multiple of, multiple smaller, ball python, let's say, goes into a rodent den. They might eat one big adult that they find in there, or they might find a bunch of small ones, and they actually do a thing where they'll be eating one and they'll pin others against the wall, which is kind of terrible, but it's nature, I guess. And then they'll eat those others. So you can do that. The danger is when you feed multiples of a larger prey item. A snake's stomach is only a certain length, and if you exceed that length, they're going to regurgitate. The other problem is people that think that they can feed multiple, but they have to wait a couple days in between each feeding. You don't want to do that because you want to do it as though pretend like your snake just went into a den and they found 3 small rodents or 2 small rodents. Feed them back to back. Wait till the snake has swallowed the one and then offer the next one. The problem is that you don't want to get their digestive system started. That's figure it's about a 10-day process from start to finish of actually digesting. You don't want to get them started on that process and then 2 days into it, start it over again. And then 2 days into it, start it over again. So just feed them back to back and make sure they're small enough to where the 2 that you're feeding, or even maybe the 3 that you're feeding, are going to equal the size of whatever their normal prey size would be. That's what I would say about that. Dennis Colburn, thanks for the super chat. What are your views on Da Vinci Boa as an eating influence or as a monthly supplement as maintenance for snakes that are eating? I like Da Vinci Boa. It works it works for some snakes. It has worked for some of my snakes in the past, and I probably will always have Da Vinci Boa on hand. I'm almost out of it, so I have to order another bottle. It's not cheap. I don't like it as a supplement because if your snake is already eating, they don't need a supplement. Because really what Da Vinci Boa is just vitamins and calcium. And what happens with some snakes is if they're off food, a lot of times just getting some vitamins and calcium in their system kickstarts their food drive. The problem is that it's stressful for them. You're literally sticking a pipette down their throat. You're opening their mouth, sticking a pipette down their throat and squeezing this stuff in. They don't like it. So I would not put my snake through the stress of that just for a supplement, that they don't really need. But it does work. It's worked for Molly Malone, who is working on some eggs. You want to see Molly? Let's see how available she is. I don't want to promise. Hey, Mama. She's right in front of me. So she is on the small end. She's just over 1,500 grams, but she's working on follicles right now. And she is a snake that I've used Da Vinci Boa with, and it's been successful. She's been off food for pretty good periods of time and has been real sketchy at eating. But when she gets Da Vinci Boa, after a couple weeks of giving her once a week Da Vinci Boa, she'll get her appetite back a little bit. Huh, Mama? Pretty lady. Okay. Gary's doing all the super chats. I appreciate that, man. I could listen all day, brother. My family on my dad's side is hillbilly. I love it. Oh, that's great. I love it too. I'm a big fan of the sound of a banjo. I like bluegrass music. I actually play a little bit of bluegrass music on mandolin, but I don't play it. I don't play that style on banjo. Bluegrass banjo is a lot of really fast finger picking. You put the finger picks on and you do those fast rolls. I play old time banjo style, which is called claw hammer style. It's just a hand thing, and it's just rhythmic and cool, and I love it. So, Gary, thanks for that. I'm glad you like it too. Danielle, got a tip for the music. It's the rules. That's really nice. I think you might have tipped last time I played music on my mandolin. I think you sent a tip in. I appreciate that. That's very nice. As though I were standing on a street corner with a hat out. Oh, this would be a great tip hat, wouldn't it? Just right there. Perfect. I should do that one of these days. Jason Smith, thanks for that super chat. That's really generous. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Cool. Glad you're calling in. Now that you have Handsome Dan, my Dumerals Boa 11. Oh, great name for a Dumerals Boa. Feels it would be okay to support the channel. That's really nice. Jokes aside, love all the great content. Oh, that's really nice. I thought for sure a question was coming, but that was just support for the channel. That's really nice. In fact, that reminds me to get Handsome Dan out. So let's do that in a minute as soon as I'll put Molly Malone back in a moment, and we'll grab Handsome Dan. I'm gonna let her crawl up onto my hat though, because it feels like she's doing that. I can tell from the back she's heading up that way. Trey, thanks for that super chat. From Tennessee, hillbilly is the genus, I believe. Great, perfect. Okay. Oh, she's going all the way up top. Good. All right. I'm glad that we have approval to use the term hillbilly. I'm a fan of hillbilly music, man. That Appalachian music comes from. I'm Scots Irish, and Appalachian music and culture comes from Irish and Scottish immigrants populating that area, and the music comes from. It's very similar to, you listen to Appalachian tunes. In fact, there are some Appalachian tunes that are the same name as Scottish and Irish tunes, and they sound very similar. So it's interesting. It's all great music though. Azara, thanks for the super chat. Would you ever get Handsome Dan a girlfriend so they can make handsome babies? That I could be on the future wait list for. Yeah, Azara, it's possible. It's something that I'm mulling over. I'm not sure at this point. Handsome Dan is pretty young still, and so it would be. Eric is also sending a super chat with a reminder. She could have just texted me, but she super chatted. That was really nice. Yeah, so we're gonna get Handsome Dan in a minute, as soon as Molly Malone is done crawling on my hat. So I have a couple thoughts on this. It would be fun to breed boas. They give live birth. I've never bred a snake that gives live birth. I think that would be interesting. They're also a little bit trickier to breed than other snakes. You got to do some tricky things. And I like a challenge. As far as, Handsome Dan is, he has fire as one of his morphs, and a super fire gives you an all white snake. I think all white snakes are cool, but the problem is you can't really go anywhere from that. You just have an all white snake. You can't tell what other genes are in that snake. And, I think it's cool to have, but I don't know that it would be the ultimate goal. He is also a T positive albino. My very favorite morphs in boas are the darker morphs, like IMG. Love an IMG boa. That's the increasing melanin gene. They get darker and blacker as they get older. I think that's so cool. I love Handsome Dan. I love his color and I love how he looks. So if I decided to get him a girlfriend, it might be a interesting combo. I might not be focused on the fire. I might do some research to see if there's any combos that look really cool with T positive albino. I don't know. We'll see. But I don't have to worry about it for a while because he is small and he is slow growing. Also, the positive pyro saying get an IMG female. It would be cool. How does IMG do with a T positive albino? Because you've got increasing melanin and then you've got the albino taking out the melanin. I bet it's been done before. I'm gonna have to look that up and see what you get. Molly Malone is back in her enclosure. Everybody's saying yes, get Handsome Dan a girlfriend. Okay. All right, let's get Handsome Dan. I still have Echo right here, by the way, you guys. If you weren't in on the very beginning of this, I was saying that Echo's been out since 9:00 this morning. She roamed around for quite a while, did really well, wasn't getting herself into trouble. Then she found a hide and she's been in that hide all day. She's got her head out though. She's sleeping. But when Echo's asleep, she's also in very heightened food mode. So if I got my hand anywhere close to that, like within a foot range, she would, before I can even have time to react, her teeth would be in me. I know this from experience. All right. Hold on. Oh, I'm going to do two things. I'm only having one drink of this Aaron because it's so high proof. I'm going to get a different Scotch, maybe a bourbon. and I'm going to get Handsome Dan. 2 things. So give me a minute. All right. We're switching to a bourbon. Here's Handsome Dan. We're switching to a bourbon that my friend Cherie gave me. This is Hudson whiskey. Well, is this even bourbon? Oh, it is. It's 4-grain bourbon. Lower proof. It's lovely. If you haven't tried Hudson, it's great. Not a cheap bourbon by any means, especially when you realize that you're not getting a 750 milliliter bottle. Oh no, dang it. Now I got a problem. My cork just broke. So I'm going to deal with that later. Hudson bourbon. I recommend it. But I'm not going to drink it right now because I got to deal with that cork. Hang on. Okay, we're going with the old standard Lafroig. This is my go-to Scotch. We're back at a Scotch. Man, uncorking a bottle with one hand. This might have been why the cork broke. There we go. See if I can do this without pouring on my computer. There we go. Lafroig, peaty, Isla Scotch. Tastes like leather and dirt and campfire and earth. It's wonderful. So good. So good. Oh, Kristen, this is interesting. I just noticed this. I wish Boas grew faster. Mine is 8 months old and barely over 100 grams, I think. Handsome Dan is 8 months old right now. Let's put him on a scale. Or I think I just did, actually. I think I can just look. Wait. Hang on. Jennifer Lyle, while I'm looking. Thanks for the super chat, Jennifer. My dad's side is hillbilly too. Fun geology fact: the Appalachian Mountains and the Scottish Highlands are the same mountain range, separated by a few million years of tectonic drift. Whoa! Tips for tunes. That's really nice. Hey, that. I love that bit of trivia that you just gave me. That's really fascinating. Same mountain range, Scottish Highlands and the Appalachian Mountains, and they ended up there. Isn't that crazy? Oh man, I'm gonna be telling people that fact. They don't have to ask for it. They don't even have to introduce themselves. They're just gonna learn that fact. There's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna learn that from me. Handsome Dan, do you want on my hat, buddy? There you go, pal. Let's see how big he is, because I think I just weighed him recently. He's not an animal that likes to be weighed. Those of you who just keep ball pythons would be interested to know that people who keep other types of snakes never weigh them, rarely measure them. Ball python people are pretty into keeping track of weight. Yeah, so he is 8 months old and he's about 215 grams. So he's a dwarf species, and I feed him a medium mouse every 2 weeks. When I first got him a few months ago, he was getting a medium mouse every 10 days, and I switched him to every 2 weeks. They are a slow growing animal for sure. And especially, I think the dwarf, I said dwarf species, I meant dwarf locality. He's Central American, so he's just going to be smaller. Wait, did I miss something here? No. Erica, thanks for this. Erica, you're super chatting so much. I'd say we could join forces on the boa breeding, but all mine are BIs, no dwarf locality boas. Yeah, I mean, he's technically a BI, but central locality. And really, with dwarf and super dwarf retics, we keep track of the locality and we know the percentages, and that's kind of a big deal to know what percentage of what locality is what. With boas, it doesn't seem to be that way. It's like, I know that he's a central locality, or he has that blood in him because I know the breeding stock that he came from, but also his T positive variation is the central variation. There's several different T positives, and they're not. It's kind of like I can't think of words now. I'll get back to if I think of it. But the point is that there are incompatible T positive, and his is compatible with central, which means that he's dwarf species or dwarf locality. All right. We're almost done with this clipboard, you guys. DeMarta, thanks for the super chat. Shout out to Erica for covering tonight. Erica, next time I see you, I owe you $5. We'll say that super chat's for you. Mom is saying, oh, Mom's adding to that trivia. I love that trivia too. The Scots Highlanders settled in the Appalachian Mountains because it reminded them of home. I'm making brotzelies while I watch you. Oh, Mom, I'm glad you're making those brotzelies. You're getting all that work done. Brotzelies are a Swiss cookie that are absolutely delicious. And my mom just got her brotzeli iron fixed. So there's that bit of information. All right, let's finish this. We got Handsome Dan on the mic. See, I don't mind a lighter snake crawling on the mic, but I don't want him getting anywhere near Miss Echo, who would potentially see that movement as food. I'm just going to make sure to redirect him. We'll try to get Echo out of that hide too before the live stream is over. All right. So the last thing that we covered on this clipboard of mine, I think, was the theme song bit, right? From Wendy. Alexis Kelly is saying, I would love to know some more info on how you maintain your bioactive setup, like daily, weekly cleaning, what isopods you keep, how you know it's thriving, etc. Okay, so so here's the thing with the bioactive. First of all, I'll say this again, that bioactive is an ongoing experiment. I would never say that bioactive is the way to go for a heavy-bodied snake. It's not easier, and you're going to spend money on plants. Your snake's going to kill plants, and it's a fun thing to do if you like to have a project like that, but it is a project. The only time it's easier is that I did full cleanouts on Sunday of all my enclosures, changed all the substrate and everything, and I didn't have to do it for this enclosure. So you don't have to do a full clean out, but you still spot clean every day. I mean, every day I go in and spot clean, and that's pretty much it. I keep dwarf white isopods. I'm trying to redirect him, but he's got a wily tail. I keep dwarf white isopods in there. Those are the little tiny ones, but I think you can pretty much keep any kind of isopod in there. And I know it's thriving if I still see my isopods and springtails moving around, and if my plants are doing their thing. So I'm seeing new growth on the plants, and they seem to be doing well. I know it's thriving. What else was in there that Hang on. Yeah. So as far as maintenance, I do all the spot cleaning. I do not expect my springtails and isopods to clean the enclosure. What I expect is that anything I can't see, hang on, I'm trying to get this boy. Anything that I can't see, they'll get. But I'm pulling sheds out. You know, you can trust the isopods to eat a bit of shed. They'll go through some shed, but I pull most of the shed out, and they definitely won't eat any urates, so you have to get those. And I pull any poop, anything out. So full spot cleans. And then Alexis also says advice on moving snakes, and the best way to do it is quickly and least stressful as possible. I don't know if you mean like a house move or what that means, but if I have to take a snake to a vet, I'm putting them in a tub and I put them in there with a towel so that if they want to hide, they can go under that towel. That's the best way to do it. Okay. Here's one from Amy Bentley. She's going to be watching this tomorrow from work, I'm guessing. Hi, Amy. I hope you're having a great day at work. Everybody put your messages to Amy in, I guess. So Amy says, if you could teach your snakes to juggle, which ones would have an aptitude for it and which ones would be terrible at it? Amy, that's a great question. An important question. I'm glad that you thought to ask that. I would say that the super dwarves would be pretty good learners because they're accurate. I think Handsome Dan here would do pretty well with juggling. He's a pretty focused snake. I think, your best friend Kata might struggle with it. I think that Kata lacks the focus to practice 15 minutes a day. I think she'd lose interest real fast and just not be committed to it. So, again, great question. Here we go. We're at the last one, you guys. So Aaron Lee is asking maybe a couple questions here from Aaron, but it's the last asker of questions from Patreon anyway. I'd love to know about using a temp gun, more specifically when setting up a PVC enclosure and using a CHE from above. Are you taking the temperature inside the hides themselves somehow when trying to get temps to 80 and 90 on each side? Wouldn't that make the surrounding areas hotter, possibly? Or are you just checking the general vicinity around the hides? Okay, I see what you're asking. Yeah, so we're talking about a temp gun, which everyone should have. If you keep a snake or any reptile, you should have one of these. Don't not have this if you have a reptile. And as far as the temps, so your snake is going to spend most of their time on the warm side when they're on the warm side, most of their time is going to be spent in the hide. So you need that hide to be enough for them to digest. So what's happening here, the warm side is here. And that hide right now is right around 86. A snake could digest at 86. It's a slow digestion. The hide that's right below that, if you saw my video on me creating that, this is a double-decker hide. He can go into this hide from the front and then down into another one on top. That one's even cooler. So if he's digesting food, he's going to stay at the top of this. If he needs even more warmth, he can come out and sit up here. Now, up here is over 90 degrees. But I also know this snake, and he does not spend time sitting outside exposed. And he'll just move. He's not gonna sit there and be uncomfortable. So he would just move off of that. But we'll see how he does. He hasn't been in that enclosure yet. It's not ready for him. And so in a couple of weeks, I will put him in there and we'll monitor that. Maybe he'll change his behavior and he will decide to sit in 95 degree heat. And if that's the case, then I've got to change what I do there. But in general, it can be a little bit warmer on the outside, a little bit above 90 on the outside on top of the hide, maybe, as long as it's 86, 87, 88. 87, 88 is probably better than 86. But that's That's the deal. So you do want to just shoot the temperature inside. Just go right inside the little door of the hide and shoot the temperature and see what it is. Or put, like right now, I don't know if you can see it, but I have a thermometer in there that tells me right now it says it's almost 85 in there, but the door's open, so it's cooler in there right now than it normally would be because the door's been open for over an hour. So that's that. Okay, hang on. I've got a super chat from Taylor. I want to make sure. There we go. Okay. Taylor, thank you for that $20 super chat. It's so nice. Okay, the menagerie has to do our usual super chat. Last one didn't count. Okay, so this super chat is from the horses and everybody. Last one didn't count. So hello, Bob. We send our love. I'm currently hunting down Susie Q as she's exploring and wreaking havoc here. Another wink to do. Oh, with a wink. Very good. I'm glad we're getting those winks in. Taylor, that's really nice. I'm glad that you're there with your menagerie of animals. You've got a bunch of cool animals there. All right. We're done with the Patreon questions, you guys. We did it. We've got just Handsome Dan here. So Handsome Dan has had some experiences climbing ropes lately and free roaming a bit lately. And he definitely acts differently than the pythons do. He climbs with the same technique that the super dwarves do. He's very adept at climbing straight up a rope or anything that he can grab onto and going straight up. And he does the thing where he reaches up with his neck, pulls his body up and wraps, reaches up, pulls and wraps. It's pretty cool. He does it and in slow motion though, compared to the super dwarves. So he does it very slowly. And then once he finds a spot that he's comfortable with, he'll sit there for hours. And he's either hunting. I think the first time I did it, maybe I just posted on Patreon. I can't remember if I posted a thing on Instagram about it or not, but he definitely seemed like he was in ambush position for a couple hours. And then the other day he did it again. He wasn't really in an ambush position, but he just found a spot to sit and he sat there forever. So he is reliable, at least. Like I know that I can put him somewhere and he'll just be there. He's not gonna try to cruise all over like the super dwarves do. Hey buddy, you want to go back up there? All right. You see what I've missed? Oh, you know what I want to show? Hang on. I'm going to put Handsome Dan back, and then I'm going to show what I plan on showing. Outbad Brutal is asking, he's in the LA area and wants to know if you know any places where you can pick up frozen rodents around here. Yeah, depending on what part of town you're in, Allen's Pet Shop in Santa Monica has frozen rodents. They breed their own, and they'll sell either live or frozen. And then if you're closer to the Burbank area, Scales and Tails Pet Store also breeds rodents and has frozen thawed. And then you can also get a hold of Bob at 818 Reptiles. And I'm saying that off the top of my head. I think that's correct. Bob is in somewhere around, he's like a 10-minute drive from me, and I'm in Burbank. And he's a ball python breeder, but he also breeds rodents and sells them. So if you look up 818 Reptiles, you'll find his info. So there's a few options for you. John's asking how often you how often do you clean a ball python enclosure? I spot clean every day, and I'm pretty good at spot cleaning. And when I spot clean, I'm not only picking up the poop and the pee, but I'm going in with a chlorhexidine or F10 wipe and wiping down the area. So I'm keeping those pretty clean. And then I do full enclosure changes and cleanouts every 6 weeks. If I wasn't good at spot cleaning, I'd be doing every 4-week enclosure change. It's a good question. Let me see what this text is. Hang on. Oh, did I miss one? I did. Hang on. Eric is alerting me to a missed super chat. It must be way up here. Okay, but she sent me the picture of it, so I don't need to find it. I must have way missed it. So this is from DeMarter. Oh, no, I got that one. The surviving mice of feedings get names put into the tank. Now they made 5 others. Yeah, we talked about this. That you've become a small-time breeder at this point. Can I feed multiple smalls so this doesn't get out of hand? Yeah, we covered that. Yes, you can. And I gave the caveats. All right, good. So I haven't missed any. Oh, she says disregard. You got it earlier. Okay. I hadn't gotten that far yet in that. Okay. So far I've gotten all the super chats. Okay, I'm going to put Handsome Dan back. Give you a good look at him before I do that. I mean, come on. He's super handsome, right? All right, I want to show you guys something because I've gotten a lot of questions. Well, not a lot, but several questions recently about how to tell if a white snake is in shed. It's an interesting question because it seems like it's really easy to tell when a white snake is in shed, except babies. Sometimes it's harder with baby white snakes, but hang on a second. Okay. I got to say, boas are hanger-oners. They hang on tight to your hands. They don't want to let go. Once they're comfortable with where their tail has firmly wrapped, they don't want to let go. All right. Hang on a second. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me a moment. Oh, Mama, come here. Now, I don't know how well my camera is going to pick this up, but this is Kata. If you compare the color of Kata's body to the white on my shirt, or dare I say the gray in my beard, you might be able to tell that she is just a pink snake right now. Does the camera pick it up? I can't tell. Oh, maybe if I make my screen bigger, I'll be able to tell. Not really. Anyway, for a white snake that's an adult or a subadult, they just turn pink, and so not only is their belly pink, but their whole body's pink. Very easy. This is the easiest snake to tell if they're in shed. And I'm not going to have her out for long because she is in shed. She doesn't want to be messed with. Do you, Mama? So there's Kata. I love Kata. She's great. I'm going to put her back. Kata is my only snake that lives on paper all the time because she just does better on paper. She was getting some splotchy marks on her when she was on chip. And I put her on paper, and I found that she likes to bunch it up and turn it into different forms of hides. And I think she's just used to, I think the guy that owned her before had her on paper, and I think she's used to it. So she gets little enrichment things in there also, but she does better on paper. So babies that are white snakes, you don't necessarily see the pink. So it's harder to tell sometimes. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that because it's been asked several times lately. Jason is asking, Bob, are you still liking that new cocoa husk product you were testing? I do like it. This is a product called Repticasa, and I'm testing it because they're sponsoring a video. First of all, I did a video for them. I don't know if it's up yet because I haven't looked, but if you go to try to buy Repticasa cocoa husk on Amazon, there should be a video that's me telling how to hydrate it and such. But they also sent me a bunch to try, and I like it, and I'm using it in almost all my enclosures right now. And they're doing a sponsored video. It's big chip. That's big. I mean, they have different sizes. This is what's going in my adult enclosures. So not a lot of, a little bit of dust, not a lot, but fiber and chip that's like this size. But then they also have, just drop that on my computer. The thing with that is that if it's too wet, if you get it in there too wet, it takes a while for it to dry out. It's gonna hold moisture for a long time when you got chips this big. So that's the thing with that. But then they also have bags of not compressed stuff that's different sizes of chip, and those chips are interesting because there's almost no dust in the bag, or actually there is when you get to the very bottom, but it sinks to the bottom, and the chip looks like this, and it's just little, like, it looks different than all the other chip, and it's mostly chip, almost no fiber, and that just comes in a bag. And I like it, especially if you don't have a ton of snakes. You just buy a bag of this stuff, and it'll last you a little while, and you don't have to worry about hydrating it or anything. Here's Echo. She's awake now. Let's try to get her out of this hide if I can. I'm going to use a hook because I don't feel like being bit today. Hey, babes. Come here. You awake? You want to come out? Come here. Well, that didn't work. I mean, as expected, right? She's in a hide. She's just coming out of a hide, and I mess with her with a hook. Of course she's going to go back in. Not the smartest way of handling things. We'll get her out, though. Just give her a few minutes to see if she wants to come out on her own. All right, lady. I'm not going to mess with you. Come on out. She's looking at me from inside the hide. She's like peeking at me like, what are you going to do? Okay. So, Autistic Cat is saying same substrate, different brands. You might be talking to somebody specifically. I agree. So these substrates, especially the ones that come in the blocks, are all from the same facility. And so if I decided to be a cocoa chip producer, I would contact whatever the facility is that does this. They put it in a block. You have your logo on a sheet of paper that goes right in the front or in the front and the back, and you specify how big you want the chips to be. Basically, it all comes from the same facility. So whatever all the brands are. But the difference is the size of chip and things like that. And I know that I think Freedom Breeder might sift theirs. I'm not sure to get rid of dust. I'm not sure. But same with Repticasa. I'm guessing that they're getting their block from the same factory when it's a block, because it looks the same, and they just have, I would say that they have the biggest chunks of anybody. So if you like big chunks for bigger snakes, I wouldn't do it for a smaller snake, but if you've got bigger snakes, you like the bigger chunks to hold humidity, that's the one to go with. But their bags of chip, I don't think come from that facility. That's a different situation. And I really like those bags of chip because they have almost no fiber, almost no loose fiber, and almost no dust. So if you just want chips, these little perfect square chips, that's what it is. Pretty interesting. So there will be a sponsored video from them coming out in the next few weeks, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. Erica says that she likes big chunks and she cannot lie. I appreciate that, Erica. I appreciate your honesty. And your early 90s rap references, or 80s. It's got to be 80s rap references, right? All right. How long have we gone? We've gone 2 hours, you guys. This is a good. Have I done everything that I wanted to do? Yeah. I think so. We talked about the bioactive. The inspector's going back in there. He's a quick update on the inspector, because we're dealing with this this bump on his nose. He's still on antibiotics, and he's acting fine. Doesn't seem to bother him, but it did get bigger, and it sort of spread to closer to his eye. And so we're hoping that it goes down. It might just stop, and then he'll just have a bump on his nose, and that'll be fine as long as it doesn't spread. So we're just kind of watching it. It's gone down maybe 20%, but I don't know that it's going to go down any further than that. So anyway, that's that. So I will say we're nearing the end of this live stream, but if there's any snakes that anyone wants to specifically see, throw them in the comment, and I will try to just randomly answer a few questions that are coming up right now. John's asking, would you recommend Brian Barczyk's substrate brand? I would love to support him at this time. I probably would, but I've never tried it. I'm sure it's good, though. I mean, Brian knows what a good substrate is. Other ways to support Brian is to go to what's it called? Why can't I think of the name of it? His reptile. I've got a sweater. Somebody put it in the chat. What's his reptile crew thing called? Reptile Army. That's what it is. Reptile Army. Go to that, and you can buy merch at the Reptile Army. There's also a separate place, I think, that they're doing specific, like, purple merchandise to help. Purple is the color for pancreatic cancer, and that helps with that. So there are a number of ways to support Brian right now, and I recommend that if you can support Brian, go for it. You can get. Oh, look at this! I could have just gone straight to this. When I got my sweater, I got some Reptile Army stickers. I'm not much for sticking stickers on things, but I just got these. See the purple for pancreatic cancer, all the Brian Strong stuff. It's good to support. So, Zara is saying, I use his Reptile Prime. It doesn't hold humidity as well, but my ball python loves to burrow in it. Yeah, I bet. It's a good burrowing substrate, it looks like. Roger is in from Gray Family Snakes, you guys. Roger, you just made it. Here's the thing. I would have ended a long time ago, but I thought you might make it, and I was going to wait until you were here before I ended things. I'm just kidding. I'm glad you're here. You are kind of at the tail end of the thing, but I think you were mentioned once or twice earlier when you weren't here. You know what it was? It was when I was doing the Patreon scroll, and I was wondering if anyone has used your discount code yet. I know that Green Room Pythons fans have bought snakes from you in the past, but since we started the discount code that's new, I was wondering if anybody had used it. That's what it was. Let's look at that little axanthic girl since Roger's in. Hold on, because she was up and awake earlier. I bet she still is. Oh, little one. I see you. Let's throw this away. This snake is the most delightful personality snake. She just is so fun. Comes right out onto my hand all the time. Just totally happy to come out and explore. And never seems to get scared of anything. She came from Gray Family Snakes. She's axanthic, pastel axanthic, het verpied. And she is beautiful. She looks like a sepia-toned newspaper print. That's what she reminds me of. Sepia or sepia? I've never known how to pronounce it. I'm going to say sepia. I'm a big fan of axanthic. Really cool. I mean, you wouldn't think we breed ball pythons to have all these crazy colors and patterns and stuff like that, and axanthic takes out the color, but it's so cool. So cool. She found her spot on my hat. It's a good hat band. She makes a really good hat band. Corey's asking, how do you know if a snake is a boy or a girl? Well, if they're acting misogynistic, chances are it's a boy. Other than that, you have to sex them. You can't tell by looking at them. You have to either pop or probe them, and those are two things. Oh, I just touched her right on the head. That's not what I was going for. Those are both things that you have to know how to do. So I don't recommend trying it. You want to find someone who has experience with snakes, whether it's a breeder or a vet that can either pop or probe your snake. But you can't tell visually, even though there are folks on the internet that'll tell you that you can. They'll have all sorts of ways to tell a boy from a girl ball python, but that is not a thing. And it's different with different species. There are some species that you can tell visually, but with this species in particular, with pythons in particular, you have to pop or probe. Erica, thanks for the super chat. And great question. How is B. Arthur? We might bring out B. Arthur. So B. Arthur, I think in the last live chat, I was able to report that she is striking now. And I thought that she'd be eating any moment. She's not eating yet. She is striking occasionally. And last time, so the other 2 nights ago, I've been trying like every 2 to 3 nights with her now. And I'm not, it used to be that I would offer her food, and when she refused, I would assist feed. And now that she's striking, I'm offering more often, and I'm not assist feeding if she doesn't eat it. So we're just trying. And last time was 3 days ago. In fact, we're going to try again tonight. So 3 days ago, I thought, all right, I'm going to assist feed this time. If she doesn't eat it, I'm going to assist feed. And she didn't strike at all. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to assist. But I had a little, it was smaller than a hopper mouse. What's smaller than a hopper mouse? A large pinky, or I don't know what it's called. But anyway, very small rodent. And I had it in front of her face, and she looked interested, whatever, but she never struck. So then I picked her up to try to assist feed. And as soon as I picked her up and kind of had my fingers on her, she grabbed my finger and wrapped my hand. Doesn't have big enough teeth to even get into my skin, but she had my finger in her mouth and she wrapped, which that's what she's supposed to do. But she just didn't get, I had the rodent in my other hand. And once I got her off my finger and off my hand, I put her back and I thought, all right, I'm not going to assist feed now. So we're going to try again tonight and we'll see what happens. But she's getting closer. I think she's going to eat on her own. This is a snake that is 7 months old now at this point. And hold on. I bet she's at the front. She's usually at this time of night. She's usually awake in the front of her tub. Hey, you are. Look at you. Oh my goodness. Look at you. So for comparison purposes, these two snakes are about the same age. So this is a snake this is a snake who's never missed a meal. Does very well. She's on small rats at this point. She's graduated from weaned rats to the point where I find a small rat in the small rat bag, and that's what she gets. And this little girl, about the same age, biggest she's ever had is a hopper mouse. So we'll see how she does tonight. She's a pretty well socialized snake, though. Like, she's at this point, I've handled her enough without assist feeding her. I've said this in another video. I don't remember if it was a live stream or another video, but a regular produced video. But my strategy with her, since I was having to assist feed her, is that I didn't want her to think that every time she got picked up that I was going to be shoving food in her mouth, because that's really traumatic. And so I started working with her more, and now she's totally comfortable to come out and just cruise around. She doesn't tongue flick as much as other snakes, but she does do it. I like to sort of look for that, because like, I'm not seeing it right now, but she'll start to do it at some point. She's a little special needs snake is what she is. So anyway, I'm going to put her back. I don't want to handle her too much because I am going to try to feed her in a couple hours. Okay. Oh, I got a text here. Hang on. Did I miss something? No, that's somebody else's text. Okay. So this is Anya, by the way. Did I say her name? It's Anya. Technically, she's Kent's snake. Has Kent ever come near her? No. Okay, did I get everybody's super chats? And also, did anybody have... I was going to try and get Echo out too. Let's try to do that. All right, I'm putting Anya back. We're going to get Echo out. That'll be the last snake. So, okay. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Give me one moment. I appreciate your patience, but this is important. I'll tell you what I'm doing in just a minute. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. So I noticed that there was a massive mess in her enclosure, and I didn't want to leave it. I didn't want to put her in there and just close the enclosure with her in there. So that's why it took so long. So now what we're going to do is disassemble the snake condo. Snake condo is made up of black box hides, and I have some right up there on top of the cage there, and then I have some right over here. I have a 3 stack of them right over here, and so I'm going to try to take Echo's current one off without her giving my fingers a food response. Oh, we did so well. Okay. Now I've got a fully exposed snake right there. We're going to use the hook because I don't know how food crazed she is at the moment. Oh, I think she's fine. Hi, babes. Nice to see everybody. There we go. You don't need a hook right now, right? We're good. This girl has been out and about all day since 9 o'clock this morning. She's been out, and she did really well. Like a lot of times when Echo and Stella come out, I have to supervise them constantly. I'm always saving them from going to some, area of the house that I don't want them to be in. But Echo did really good. She just explored I had this pile of new stuff, and she explored all the new stuff. And then after a couple hours of that, she found a hide to sit in all day. And she just shed yesterday, so she's looking super pretty. I had her outside right after her shed, and she's just, the iridescence and the rainbow effect that happens on reticulated pythons is crazy. All right, what have I missed here? Oh my gosh, I'm so far behind, you guys. So far behind. Let's see what Echo does on. I bet she goes from my hat to somewhere else. She's getting long, you guys. She is getting long. Oh, Michael super chatted. Thanks for the super chat, Michael. Is there going to be a Super Dwarf care guide? And if so, when? Yes, 2 weeks. Good timing on your question. 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. It is something that I'm working on right now, and I have several that are in the works, and I'm not sure what the release dates are exactly, but it's either going to be 2 or 3 weeks from now. Look at that. She just stayed on the hat. She didn't use my hat to go onto her tree or on top of this, which they love, you guys. This thing with the black box hides up there and just the different things that I have up there, they love it. Elizabeth, thanks for the super chat. Do you worry about her getting a cold after all day? No, I don't. I actually talked about this a little bit in the beginning of the live stream, but I realize most people that are in right now probably weren't in the beginning. My room in here is between 76 and 78 degrees, and that is just fine for a super dwarf to sit at. She's not digesting food right now, so she would be on her cold side anyway of her enclosure, which is just under 80 degrees, but definitely can spend the day. Even a ball python that's not digesting can spend the day at 75, 76 degrees. Not a problem at all. And cold, getting a cold, that would be getting a respiratory infection, and those are usually bacteria. It's either viral or a bacteria, rather than just being in a colder environment. Although a colder environment will you know, if it was much colder, if we were down below their tolerance level, then if they had something that their body would normally fight off, that cold, being in the cold would reduce their ability to fight that off. So it might bring out a respiratory infection if I had them like in 60-degree weather, 50-degree weather, something like that. Scar Dry G, thanks for the super chat. I'm new to your channel. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. New to your channel, and you've been very helpful. I just got a ball python recently. I've had a corn snake before when I was younger. The snake is really defensive. Any tips? Keep up the great vids. Cool. Congrats on your new snake. That's awesome. Yeah, I've got a number of videos. If you search my videos for like how to tame a snake, or maybe it's how to tame a ball python, also what to do with your first ball python. I've got videos that will help, that'll cover that. But the thing is, a defensive snake, it's pretty common that they're defensive when they're new, and they're just not used to the area. They're not used to you. They need time to acclimate. And a lot of times people go, well, just handle them more. And if you handle them more, they'll eventually get used to it. And yes, they might, but that's also a pretty scary thing for them when they're not used to their environment or anything, and all of a sudden this giant monkey is picking them up. It's pretty scary. So one of the tips that I usually say in those videos is that you can spend time hanging out next to your snake's enclosure with your snakes. Don't do it when they're sleeping in their hide, but if they're out, spend time just next to the enclosure, not messing with them, not doing anything like to them, and let them just see you and see that you're not there to hurt them. And then you can slowly start to do some handling sessions. But the more they notice you and see you moving around and see that you're not a predator, basically, the more comfortable they're going to get with you. So, and it doesn't take long. Snakes are a lot smarter than people give them credit for. It doesn't take long for them to get to the point where they're not scared anymore. Stevie, thanks for the super chat. You mentioned not wanting to hold the snakes shortly before feeding them. Is that a personal preference or a good idea in general, and why? Yeah, it's a good idea in general. And I've actually said here, I'll just say, so there's kind of a general rule that you don't want to handle a snake much before feeding them, because it could stress them out and cause them to not eat. I've also said in the past that most of my snakes in here, I have no problem handling and then feeding. You know, like I could probably feed most of them from my hand. They'd probably eat food. Maybe not. I don't know. I've never tried it and probably never will. But it's kind of a thing with newer. Look at this. Hang on. You see what Echo's doing right there? That is hunting behavior. She's checking out my shoulder. She's in strike position. I don't think she's going to strike at my shoulder, but she's using my hat as this ambush spot just in case a bat flies by my head. Anyway, so handling a new snake, a snake that's not really used to you, that might stress out because of the handling session, that could cause them to not eat. And with little B Arthur, I don't think that a handling session stresses her out, but it is just a different experience for her. And she's a snake that's never eaten before. So I want to take extra precautions with her on feeding day. Oh my gosh, Echo, seriously? Dude, come on. I was trying to take my hat off so that I could get her off the thing and out of food mode. Ow, God. She just fell off my hat, but of course didn't let go of my hand. So, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to be nice to Echo this time. We're going to try water rather than whiskey. I do have a thing of whiskey that I could spray in her mouth, but I don't want to. Let's try water. Not working. All right, you're going to hate this, dude. So the whiskey's going to make her let go right away. And oh, wait. Oh, she's letting go. Good. All right. I didn't have to do it. I don't like that. I don't like having to spray whiskey. But Echo is a snake that does shut her brain off. And she was in strike mode. So the deal is that my camera's backwards and I can't tell exactly if I'm reaching up, I can't tell where I'm at. So I didn't realize that I was reaching out right in front of her face because I also wasn't really thinking about it. But she was in strike position and all of a sudden I reached my hand up there and her brain is shut off at that point. She's going to strike at anything warm and doesn't know that it's me. It takes her a little bit of having my hand in her mouth before she realizes that she needs to let go. And she probably wouldn't have let go if I hadn't have sprayed her. So, something that Stella never does. Stella's never bit me before. She's oftentimes in strong food mode, but Stella tends to tongue flick a couple times before she strikes anything. And Echo doesn't. Echo just, if it's warm and in front of her heat pits and she's in food mode, she's going to strike. Hey, don't bite your friends. That's a concept that we work on, don't we, young lady? Don't bite your friends. That's not nice. Okay, I'm going to put her back. And then we'll tend to my wounds. Oh, dude. Let go of my wrist. Hang on. Oh my gosh. She's trying to crawl off my hand, but she's doing that thing where she's just squeezing tighter as she tries to crawl away. Oh, dude, hang on. All right. I'm going to unwrap you. She's also gotten very strong. Oh my gosh. Crazy snake. So sometimes it looks bad when you get bit. Especially, I don't know. I think if I can't show this because YouTube will flag it. There's like blood all over my hand just because she crawled off my hand and spread blood all over. So it looked like a terrible mess. So let's look at this and look at the damage she did. Hang on. I've never gotten an infection from a snake biting me. And that might be because I always rub chlorhexidine or F10 on it, which is a veterinary grade disinfectant. You can clean wounds from your animal with it and clean anything else pretty much with it. So here are the holes. Let's see if I can do this. You guys, what a fun end of video thing. So bottom teeth went here. Top teeth, this is always interesting, is that the top teeth, as you can see with the blood coming, these are the normal teeth that you think of a snake having. But in the middle here, you've got teeth also because pythons have a row of teeth on their on the roof of their mouth. So they've got the regular teeth plus another round of teeth just in the center of the roof of their mouth. I've already done a video on what it feels like to get bit by different species of python, but I will reiterate that didn't hurt. It almost hurt when she fell off of my hat onto the floor and yanked my hand down with her. That kind of like I felt that, but it wasn't super painful. It does, it causes holes in your skin though, but the teeth are so sharp and the holes are in your skin are not deep at all. They're very small, very sharp teeth. So it's like getting a shot that you don't feel because the needle was so small. It's the same thing. It's just a whole bunch of needles. So when you look at it, like I wipe it off and then the blood will come back. And so it seems like it's bad, but it's really not. This is I feel nothing from it right now. I just don't want to get blood on my new shirt. I just bought this shirt. So let's see what people are saying in the comments. Oh, I'm getting super chats like crazy. I hope this is to help with my medical expenses that come as a result of tonight's travesty that happened. Hang on, let me scroll up to see if I didn't. Okay. Roger says, definitely clean it. I had one get slightly infected when I didn't clean it. Didn't hurt, but it took forever to heal. Yeah, totally could. I do clean it with the chlorhexidine. So I think that's why I've never had one get infected. But I think it's important that especially new keepers that are afraid to get bit by their snake to see that that a bite, especially a bite from a retic, is going to be a little bit worse because their teeth are a little bit bigger than a ball python of the same size. And that's a food bite. So she hung on for a long time. Usually a ball python isn't necessarily, well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes they will, but a lot of times they'll just bite and let go immediately. I guess it depends on the individual. Matthew, thanks for the super chat. I drove over the Continental Divide twice during this live stream to buy a snake. Oh, so cool. That's great. Love the channel and the GRP family. Oh, that's really cool. Congrats on your new snake. What did you get? I love that you were driving over that's such an epic trip. Driving over the Continental Divide to buy a snake. I love it. So Gary, thanks for this. Another super chat from Gary. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. How can I get F10? I can't buy it on Amazon because of state restrictions, but we live in the same state. I'm in San Diego. You know what? Just get chlorhexidine. It's basically the same thing. I was using F10 for a long time because I had a bottle of it and it lasts forever. But chlorhexidine, I'm out now, and sometimes you can buy it on Amazon, and they just send it to you when you buy it on Amazon. Sometimes, but when I ran out, it wasn't available. Chlorhexidine is also a veterinary grade disinfectant. I was using. So here's the thing. There's a rumor that chlorhexidine, once you mix it, it goes bad in a week and you got to throw it out. But there's no truth to that rumor from what I can tell. I've talked to a number of vets who have never heard that rumor, and I contacted the company and have looked at every label that I could find, and I've never seen anything about that except in reptile forums where they go, "Oh, you got to throw it out after a week." Totally not true. But because I had heard that, I was buying F10 because I was like, oh, if chlorhexidine goes bad, then I'm not going to use that stuff. But it's fine. It works great. So just get chlorhexidine. I don't think there's really any difference. I don't know if one is more effective than the other. I don't think so. I think they're both just, whichever one is available is available. Amy Bentley is back, you guys. Amy, were you back in time to see Echo bite me? Oh, probably not, because you just wrote that a few minutes ago. You missed it. There's all kinds of shenanigans that you missed, Amy. Here's the wound, by the way, you guys. Here's where we're at on this. Still don't feel anything. It's just annoying to have to deal with very small bleeding holes in your skin. It's just an annoyance that you have to wipe it away occasionally. That's the extent of what a bite from a snake that size gives you. Taylor, I love the nonchalant Bob saying, "Here are the holes." Yeah. It's really not a big deal. That bite would have been more traumatic if I did see her do it in the camera, but if I saw her do it live, I would have seen the strike, and that's what makes you jump. That's what makes you go, like that, right? But it didn't startle me like that, because I wasn't watching it live. That is the worst part of a snake bite, is watching the snake strike really fast. But beyond that, there's really no damage. This will be, I won't be able to see the marks tomorrow. They'll be gone. So that is that. What were we doing before? Was there anything that we were doing before that happened? Because I've been trying to wind down this live stream for the past 35 minutes and 13 seconds. I mean, it's not like I have any appointments to get to right now. And we still have 117 people watching. You guys, thank you so much for jumping in. I don't know if there's a lot of people that have been in from the beginning. I'm sure that there are some, but either way, whether you just jumped in or whatever, I appreciate you. And Amy just jumped in. She jumped in the beginning, then she went to dance, and now she's back. Amy, thanks for this other super chat. I knew she was going to bite you. I told you she'd been saving her shenanigans all day for the live stream. Yes, she had. Well, here's the thing. I was stupid, Amy, and you'll see tomorrow when you watch this from work. I had just mentioned that she was in ambush position on my hat in strike mode. And the idea was, as I was just chatting with people, so I wasn't really thinking, but my idea in my brain was that I was just going to take my hat, take it off, and then get her back in her cage so that she can get into strike position in her cage. But of course, when I reached my hands up to take my hat off, she latched on. Elizabeth is reminding people to hit the like button. That's nice of you to super chat and send the reminder. That's very nice. If you haven't liked the video, and only if you are enjoying the video, if you actually like the video, I appreciate you hitting the like button, because these stay up. I keep these live streams up. They're long, and some people like to watch them afterwards. But the more people that are hitting the like button, and also you guys are super engaging in the chat, which is awesome. I think that also helps the algorithm for YouTube to go, oh, this is something that people are interested in. We're going to push it out to more people. And that's always nice. Gary says, thanks for that super chat. That's really a super chat for Amy. Amy is here now. Got to go for another 2 hours. Yeah, we're gonna end. We're gonna end this soon. I have hiccups. Amy says, I super love that shirt, Bob. Where did you get it? I want one. Amy, this came from a very fancy sort of high-end store. I don't know if you guys have this particular store in Utah. It's called Target. Came from Target today. I bought it today. I saw this shirt and I went, I'm not really a flower on the shirt type of guy. I'm usually a black shirt guy. I'm usually a flannel or a black t-shirt guy. But I saw this and I went, it's summertime. I'm gonna go for something a little bit different. And I like it too. I think it's cool. I appreciate the support though, because I wasn't sure about it, and I'm still a little bit concerned that it might be a little much for my style. It's almost enough for Kent's style. I feel like Kent has a style that's even more this. It would be more colors and more craziness. But that's not really my style. Gary is reminding me that it's pronounced Target. It is. I'm not that fancy. That's the thing, is I'm just not fancy enough. I have a friend. I'm going to tell you this story really quick. I have a friend who is from a very wealthy family. Her father is in Forbes as the top 100 wealthiest men in America. Like, she is super wealthy family. And she was having a birthday party. This was 10 years ago or something. She's having a birthday party, and she wanted to have a white trash birthday party. And so we were all at her place. She had a house in the Hollywood Hills, and her parents were coming to town, and they were going to join the party. And we all were dressed in our whatever we thought was white trash, and it was fun. We were having a good time. And her parents show up just dressed normal. And she goes, she opens the door and she goes, you guys, this is supposed to be a white trash party. And her mom goes, honey, we went to Target specifically and got all these clothes from Target. So there's a disconnect sometimes with the ultra wealthy and the us regulars, I think. So funny though that they thought that if they buy their clothes at Target, that's dressed as white trash. Okay. All right. I'm just scrolling to try to see if I missed any other super chats. But I think Erica would have texted me if I did. Let's see if she texted me. No, I think I'm doing good. I think I'm doing good with super chats. All right, you guys. So look, we went through all those questions. We went through so many super chats. You got to see a bunch of snakes. We talked about Scotch. We got into 2 bottles of Scotch, and I got bit by a snake. Once again, I got bit by Echo. Have I ever been bit by any other snake other than Echo on a live stream? I don't think so. And it's happened several times now with Echo. Yeah. So, Amy says she saw 0 snakes. You came in too late, Amy. All right. We're going to show Amy a snake, and then who should it be? Amy, I already took out Kata. She's in shed right now. I took her out for a specific reason. You'll see her tomorrow. So otherwise I would get out Kata for you because I know that's your favorite. Here, let's see what we got here. Let's see if Delilah has shed. She's due to shed any minute. She hasn't yet. Hey, Mama, you going to shed tonight? Hi. Here, I think this is fitting to show Amy Delilah because Amy is the proud keeper of 2 of Delilah's babies from this year. Amy has 2 of them, and they're both such nice babies. Here's the mama. She's going to shed tonight. I think she's probably thinking about working on it right now. So there we go. Delilah, looking good. Okay, you guys. We're going to end this. You guys are great. Thank you so much for hanging out. This was super fun. I hope you enjoyed it also. I'll see you next week with, again, next week we're going to talk about the Florida thing. So it's going to be heavy, but it should be a good video. I hope you guys watch it. And I hope you get good. I hope I'm able to give some good information. I don't want to say I hope you enjoy it because it's not going to be an enjoyable video. We're talking about Florida. And I hope I'm able to give you good information. That's that. All right. Now I'm ending the broadcast. I'll see you guys very soon. Have a great night.